Blog Talk Radio.
There is a mystery lurking the forested areas of the world. Many have seen something, but what is it? Are they seeing known animals? They claim they walk upright, like a human. There are so many eyewitnesses. Can they all be wrong? Is someone just playing a trick on people? Or is it possible a large bipedal being could exist in the forests of the world? You have a decision to make. Do you believe it exists? These are the topics we discuss on Sasquatch Watch Radio. Welcome everyone to another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is October 8th, 2013. We're having a special show tonight to celebrate the life of a dear friend to many. And before we get into sharing all of our stories about this dear friend, first let me pull in the Creature Seeker.
Hey, Billy.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Settling into my fall regimen now.
Yeah.
Which means I don't sleep with the windows wide open like I used to during the summer.
Oh, well, that's probably a good idea considering that it probably is getting close to freezing at night there now.
It's getting down there. I think it was like 40 a couple nights ago.
Well, it's getting cold. Yeah, it's cold here actually tonight. It's right now it's in the 60s, which here lately we've been staying up in the high 70s and 80s here for the past week or so. But we had a storm and that cold front come through and kind of changed the temperatures pretty drastically.
Yeah, it's I heard that I was talking to a friend of mine out there in Montana. They got snow already.
Yep. Yeah, matter of fact, Pete Wilson's up there. He was talking about it also, about how I think just north of him they got like, I believe he said 13 inches of snow.
Wow. They can keep it as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. It doesn't hurt my feelings one bit if they keep it all the year. So. But, we needed the rain here real bad. We hadn't had rain, and I don't even remember the last time we had rain. It had gotten to the point where you could hardly put a shovel in the ground, so we needed the rain that we got. So I can't. I mean, and the ground's already dry. I mean, that's how dry we were. I mean, we had all that rain, and there ain't even mud. I mean, just soaked it up.
Careful what you wish for, Billy.
Yeah, I know.
You might get it in spades.
You definitely don't want to be traveling around here this coming weekend. I guess you know that.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get up the roads. So, they say the entire Beltway will be blocked. DC will be blocked up. You won't be able to move anywhere around the Beltway because the truckers are coming in with a passion. So,
expecting a lot of truckers, Billy?
Yeah, we're expecting there to be a lot. My understanding is they're meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning in Doswell, Virginia, which is down there near Kings Dominion. And they're meeting there at 7 o'clock a.m., and they're supposed to arrive in and around the D.C. area sometime that Friday afternoon. And we, from what my understanding is, we know that there will be a minimum of 3,000 tractor trailers. So that's a lot.
That's a decent amount of traffic, I'd say.
Yeah. I'm glad I don't have nothing going on in D.C. Friday.
I hope there aren't any. I hope there aren't any UPS trucks there because I'm expecting some packages.
Well, I guess you better hope it's not coming out of the UPS facility in Dulles, then. Well, it might be a little late. Anyway, we've got a great show tonight. We're going to be talking about a dear friend that we've recently lost, and I think a lot of people have a lot of fond memories of Joyce Kearney. I think she moved the hearts of a lot of people with her laughter, with her presence. I mean, everybody. I don't know about you, Bruce, but I always remember a lot of times at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference when, sometimes the question would be asked, okay, who drove the furthest? And usually it was Joyce's hand going up. Yeah. Because, she drove all the way from California up to the Ohio Bigfoot Conference by car now. She didn't get on airplanes or anything like that. She drove it. So I don't think... I remember every year Joyce drove the furthest.
I think on one year, and I'm sure that our guests could probably corroborate this, one year she actually purchased a car en route to Ohio. But, before we go any further, Billy, I'd like to introduce our guest for the show, Barbara Monroe, who's Joyce Kearney's sister, and who I had the absolute pleasure of being able to meet and hang out with when both Joyce and Barbara were in Ohio a couple years back. And we just had the best time. So, Barbara, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate it. Yeah, I do remember the Ohio conference, and I just want to say I can remember driving with Joyce. And actually, to tell you, Joyce had certain rules of the road that we had to abide by. And one of those rules was, so as you're pulling into town and you want to eat, you had to look at, those signs on the highway that shows the different restaurants available.
Sure.
You had to go to the restaurant that was at the top left corner. And that was the restaurant we had to go to.
So needless to say, you probably passed a lot of signs that had McDonald's up in the left corner.
Yeah, I don't remember. There was one or two that she said, no, then we're not going to eat there, so then you either move just one to the right or one down. You had to pick. That was where we would eat.
Barbara,
so there's...
Did she have just disdain for airports, or... What was the whole? Why did she always drive, and how come she never took a plane?
She had an intense fear of flying. In fact, when I would fly, she was extremely had fear for me being in the airplane. Wow. Like she would sometimes when we would go to Oregon, I would fly to Oregon. She would drive to Oregon, and a couple times she actually met me at the Portland airport, and it's like, oh, thank God you got here. Because she was just so afraid of an airplane crash.
Wow.
I'm more afraid of being out on the highway than I am being in the airplane. But
yeah.
She was not like that at all. She just had an intense fear of flying. Like white knuckle.
Did she have a bad experience, or where did she get the fear of flying?
I don't know. Oh, geez, how old are her kids? It must have been probably over 40 years ago. She used to fly to Ohio every summer to spend the summer with my grandmother with her 2 kids, and it was just, she would tell me about some of those planes. They were almost hoppers. I guess it was an airline strike. And so she was flying these little planes going from little city to little city, and it scared her to death. And I think maybe that was just set her off. I don't know, but she hated flying on an airplane.
You know,
And,
a lot of people, I think that it's because you don't have control of it. You know what I mean? Like when you're in a car,
yeah.
you have a little bit of control. So she probably is like, I got this, but she couldn't do it on an airplane.
Could be. Well, and you're so high up. And I remember one time she did fly into Hawaii. I was spending 2 weeks in Hawaii, and she happened to get her vacation, and she said, I got my vacation. I'm going to come see you. And I said, when? And she goes, when are you going to Hawaii? And I told her, and she goes, that's when my vacation is. I said, well, you fly. We'll spend a week in Maui together. And so she did, and the first thing she said to me when she got off the airplane is, you didn't tell me about the pineapple field. I'm like, what pineapple field? So I don't know. She just had an intense fear of flying. She also, even driving to the Ohio conference, as much as she loved it, and I will tell you, she loved it.
Yeah.
When she'd go, she talked about it, I'd swear, for months before she'd go. She'd talk about it for months after she was there. But crossing Kansas was her biggest fear, was crossing Kansas. Because Tornado Alley.
Yep, tornadoes, yep.
Yep. And that was her fear driving.
Yep.
Yeah, you get caught up in a tornado, you could be flying even though you're in a car.
Right.
And not straight.
Now, Barbara, did you guys, I think one year you guys actually, didn't you purchase a car like on your way out to Ohio?
Not to Ohio. Actually, we were going to the Bigfoot conference in Texas.
Oh, okay.
So because I have another sister that lives in Texas. And so we were in Texas to go to the Bigfoot conference there, and my younger sister just pulled into a Jeep dealer and said, well, why don't we just look? And so we, we walked around the lot, and both my sister and I, my younger sister and I, both knew that Joyce wanted to get a mango-colored Jeep. Joyce was real adamant about getting manual transmission, real adamant about just the 2 doors on the Jeep, but she wanted a Rubicon. And so we were in there and started talking to the dealer, and goes, I have one in my back lot if you want to look at it. And this is like 8 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night. So we go back there. It's the color she wants. It was 2 doors, and it had a manual transmission. So I'm like, okay, Joyce, it's exactly what you want. Why aren't you buying it? Well, I don't know. Please. I mean, where else are you going to find exactly what you want? And the guy almost started telling her about all the bells and whistles in her Jeep, and I kind of stepped behind Joyce and flagged him, no, shut up, because I knew if Joyce started hearing about all the fancy stuff, she wouldn't buy it. So we, but she did. She and then we walked in and started talking to the dealer and just, why are we here? And we're 3 sisters giggling and laughing. And we said, well, we're here to go to a Bigfoot conference tomorrow morning, which was, on Saturday morning. And he goes, what? And we go, yeah, and this is what it's called. Well, he gets online on the internet and looks it up. And we go, yeah, that's where we're going. He goes, you were telling the truth. I mean, he didn't believe us. He thought, I don't know what he thought, but he didn't believe us. And, and so then we just started laughing that much more because it's like, oh my goodness, here. And here's this picture, of a riverbed, with water. And I said, see, and that's why she needs a Jeep, so she can go look for Bigfoot down that. And he goes, well, that Jeep will do it. And so yeah, we had. Yeah, that was an experience. And for me, living through Joyce vicariously, just buying a Jeep on the spot like that was like, wow. But yeah, she bought a Jeep and we went to the Bigfoot conference.
Wow.
So she was a lot of fun. I you talk about missing her. I'm going to miss her so much because we vacationed together. Every time I had a vacation, okay, Joyce, this is where I'd like to go. Or actually, we would try to go places where we thought there had been Bigfoot sightings. So here in Colorado, we've gone up in Lake City, which is pretty high, sits amongst several 14ers, pretty much right at the bottom of Mount Sunshine. And going up on Spring Creek Pass, there had been some sightings, and so we went up there. And Joyce was more interested in looking for what are some of the food. What would Bigfoot eat if he was here? Obviously, he needs to eat. What are some of the vegetation that's around that we can see? So this last summer, we were in Oregon and looking at a place where someone had given us. This woman in Oregon had a sighting not far from the Oregon coast. And she was telling us where it was, so we went over there to look, and there were like berries and plenty of water and things like that. So I know that's where we wanted to go next summer. We were already talking about it, and I think that's what I'm going to miss. Is I just so enjoyed just going places with her and wandering around the countryside. We took several rides in the dark. Just, okay, maybe we'll see something or hear something. And this last summer, again, in Oregon, we're driving down this road, and I said, it's really dark here. And I turned off the headlights, pitch black, and, okay, well, we'll turn the headlights back on. And then we have our windows open because I'm thinking, okay, we want to hear or smell, see what's out there. And she goes, you know what, there are cougars out here. And I go, well, yeah. It's like, maybe we should roll up our windows. Like, whatever. But yeah, I just had a lot of fun. She was just a wonderful, wonderful sister. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed her, and I have always said over many, many years that my sister Joyce would give you the shirt off her back if you needed it. And when we had her memorial in California, that was true. I mean, so many people talked about how giving she had been, different situations that they were in. She had no qualms and, here, let me help with that. Or hearing about different conferences that she really helped support financially and things like that. I had no idea. Seriously, Joyce wouldn't talk about, I gave this amount or that amount for this. It's just like, we're going to go to this conference. I helped them a little bit. But, I'm really interested in going up here and doing all these things. So I'd always hear about what happened and the people that were there, but she never talked about herself and what she had done. Never told me what she did for others ever. And she's just, to me, the true spirit of a good Samaritan. Somebody who just helped when help was needed. And I just, hearing other people, because I know how much she helped me. So hearing other people is just wonderful. She's just, just a beautiful person, just beautiful, and just going to be so missed.
Oh, she's going to be missed a lot. I mean, I know I'll never forget. I mean, we had so many good times and laughter with her. I think was Barbara there that day, Bruce, when we were all out the handicap area at the picnic tables?
I don't think so.
I can't remember. But I'm going
to. The year
ahead.
I went was 2011. That was the year I went was in 2011. So 2 years ago was when I went to Ohio.
Yeah, it may have been
the year after Bob Gimlin.
Okay, it may have been the year before that. It might have been 2010. But I'm going to share this story because it probably will get me in trouble. And I know Bruce knows what I'm talking about. But if I don't use the name, it's not as funny. So I'm going to go ahead and tell the story. One of the funniest memories that I have, it was a bunch of us up at what they call the handicap picnic area in Ohio. And there was a bunch of us. We were there talking and carrying on, and Joyce was talking about a well-known researcher over on the West Coast by the name of Yami Avalos. And we had all recently seen a video on YouTube that Yami had put up on the internet, And and we all found it funny. I mean, I'm not going to, I'm going to hold back. It was just hilarious. It was a video where Yami showed some of the tools and equipment and weapons that he takes with him when he goes and researches. And he was dressed up in all black like a ninja. He had like throwing knives. He had like a samurai sword. I mean, all this stuff. So you got to envision this. Okay, so you're, and we said, well, Joyce, look, we just want to show you this, So she watched it.
Billy, part of it too was that, Joyce, knew this researcher and actually spoke very highly of them.
Yeah.
And she really spoke very highly of this individual, and she had not seen the video.
Right, she hadn't seen it at all. So, that's the reason we had to show it to her. And you have to watch the video to really appreciate the humor in it. But so we finally get some signal so that we could actually play the video for her. And it was hilarious. She was sitting there watching it. She was real close to the computer. She was watching it, and then you see her. She puts her hands up in front of her eyes and then barely cracks her fingers, kind of looking at the image of what she was seeing, and she just put her hands on her head and she goes, "No, Yami, no." And she just kept repeating it. She's like, "No, Yami, no, Yami, no," and it was just hilarious. Oh gosh,
it was
so
as
funny.
if she was trying to just deny sort of the reality of it,
Yes.
But that was a lot. That was pretty funny.
That was. We had a good time with that. But yeah, she was something else. We.
Yes, she was.
She really was. I think we have a caller that wants to join us from the 661 area code. Who do we have? 661 area code. You're on the air. Is this Eric?
Billy?
Yep, that's you, Eric.
Yeah, it is Eric. How you doing?
Good. It's Eric Altman.
Hey, Eric.
We have Barbara on with us, which is Joyce's sister.
Good
Hi,
evening,
Eric.
Barbara.
It's
Hi,
Eric Altman. I always speak highly of Eric on the show. It's good to have you on the show, Eric.
Funny, Bruce. I was expecting that. I just wanted to call in and offer my condolences to you, Barb, and to the family and all the friends of Joyce. I got the opportunity to meet Joyce for the first time probably in 2005 or 2006. She attended an Ohio Bigfoot conference, and we had actually communicated by letter and probably going back as far as 2000. And I run the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society, and she was always a huge supporter of not only the group but of me as well, always sending me very wonderful supportive letters and really kind of encouraging me to keep doing what I was doing, always so generous. And when I started putting on the conferences here in Pennsylvania, she was always quick to send donations to either help with the conference funding or donations for our auction. And I'm really going to miss Joyce, not only because of her friendship and her generosity, but just because of the wonderful woman that she was. She was a real blessing to all of us. So I just wanted to call in and share my condolences and just say that I'm really going to miss Joyce.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, it is so, I so much enjoy hearing people who I never met, and she probably talked about, but I just didn't pay, enough attention to names, so I apologize to all of you. But that she just really enjoyed her conversations with people or her communication with people, and she always talked so fondly of everybody, whoever, that she talked about. She never had a harsh word or anything to say about anybody. And I just, you know, realizing that now and looking back, it's like, she was such a wonderful sister and just a wonderful friend. I mean, I felt like she's my best friend, you know, and I spent so much time with her that I'm really going to miss her. And thank you so much, Eric, for saying that. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're quite welcome. It was a real privilege and honor to know Joyce. I always looked forward to seeing her in Ohio when she traveled all the way from California by car to attend, and she always won the award year after year for the person who traveled the farthest. And it was a dead giveaway. Who won the award this year? Well, Joyce was here. Okay. But I always look forward to getting a great big hug from her and just spending a few minutes chatting with her and catching up. And she was a truly wonderful woman, and she definitely won't be forgotten, that's for sure.
Oh, thank you so much.
Bruce, on the other hand,
oddly enough, Joyce did also, she spoke highly of Eric as well, which led me to believe that we were talking about two different people, but it was, in fact, Eric Altman of PBS.
Hey, Bruce, I got to tell you, I just want to let you know this steak that I'm eating right now is really good, nice and tender and juicy, and the chocolate pie that goes with it is wonderful.
Eric, you know how I love the steak at Pitzer's.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he lives closer there, Bruce, so he can get it when he wants.
Well, I won't stay on too long because I know Bruce just can't hold in nice compliments very well, so I'm going to get off here. But, again, I want to offer my condolences to you, Barb, and to family and all the friends of Joyce, and just to, you know, say how much I really enjoyed knowing her and calling her a friend, and we're really going to miss her. But, again, she will never be forgotten. So,
thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Good to hear.
You're welcome,
thanks,
guys.
Eric.
Have a good night.
All right, thanks, Eric. Yeah, I know.
You know,
she touched a lot of people.
Joyce,
I know,
she had just a very funny way about her. She never took anything seriously, you know. And one of the things I enjoyed about Joyce was that we could always find something to laugh at, even though we disagreed on many things Bigfoot related. You know, one of the, I have a little story. So one of the things she would talk about all the time is this Anasazi. I guess somewhere out in the southwest, there's a cliff wall that has a drawing. They have drawings on it, and she always, well, the legend is that Bigfoot comes out and does this drawing on the cliff wall, and Joyce really prescribed to that theory, and so I'd say, come on, Joyce. I mean, you can't expect me to swallow that. So let's see. Bigfoot wakes up in the morning and he looks at his schedule and he says, okay, I'm going to run out across Interstate 70 and scare the bejesus out of some motorists. And after that, I'm going to go harass some cattle on Mr. Olmstead's farm. Oh, yeah. And by the way, I'm gonna go pick up some art supplies and finish my drawing on the cliff wall. So I used to bust her chops about this, and we'd both break out laughing. And she, every time I saw her, it was the first thing we just start laughing because we both knew that she was gonna bring up the cliff wall drawing, and I was gonna say I wasn't buying it, and but yeah, that's. That's one of the memories I have of Joyce.
Well, and actually, to tell you, Bruce, we went down. She had never said it was Bigfoot did the drawing to me, but we went down to Del Rio, Texas, which is in the Big Bend area, near Big Bend, to look at some cliff drawings because she was thinking what the Native Americans had drawn was a Bigfoot, and that was like the lines coming off of the drawing, signifying that was Bigfoot. But what the park ranger was saying is that it's supposed to be showing that there's energy coming off that person. And Joyce wasn't buying that. She thinks that they were drawing, something that had a lot of hair around it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it was showing. So we actually went down into that area to look at the cave drawings. So that was another trip that she and I took together. And we each had our own Jeep. I've got a Grand Cherokee, and she was in her Wrangler. And we were driving all over Texas. She had her dog. I had my dog. And just these two women, different license, different states on our plates, but always with each other. The Border Patrol started questioning us. I mean, I pulled into the Border Patrol, and they go, "So are you two traveling together?" It's like, well, yeah. Why? What? We're just two people. Do we look suspicious or something? Jiminy Christmas. So yeah, we had a lot of good times at just those kind of things. Like you said, Bruce, she could always laugh at herself and always tell some good jokes, and I always had a good time, and I think my husband feels the same way. We could always get together and have laughs and just enjoy talking with each other, and and I think she pretty much has him convinced that Bigfoot's out there. So I asked him, I said, well, do you want to go to Pagosa Springs? Because there was a sighting not far from Devil's Mountain, which is between, near Pagosa Springs. And what I am so thankful is we went four-wheeling and made it up to the top of the mountain. And this summer was the first, was our third try, our third attempt, because there was this one place where there were just these huge boulders, and I didn't think a Jeep could do it. She goes, well, they told me my tires are rock gripping, so I'm going to see if they'll grip the rocks. And I said, okay, fine. And she starts driving up these rocks, and my eyes were just closed tight. I thought, okay, whatever happens, I'll just hang in here. And she did it. So we were up there. I think it was like 9,900 feet. Got to the top of Devil's Mountain. Yeah, and it was just like, we did it. So,
Barbara, you should have told her. You should have told her. You're afraid of flying. I'm afraid of going up these rocks in Jeep.
Well, yeah, she kept telling me what a wimp I was, and I said, I'm not the one driving. You want to do it? Go. So I'm closing my eyes.
I'm sure that people will be happy to know that Joyce's dog has found a great home.
Well, I think it's a great home. It's funny because all her neighbors asked me what's going to happen to Chester, and I said, we're taking him. And she always asked me, if anything should happen to me, will you take Chester? And I always said yes, figuring Chester would go before she did. And people from the California, the Bay Area Bigfoot group also were asking me, so what's going to happen to Chester? I said, I'm taking Chester. We're taking him back to Colorado with us. So, okay, good. I was worried. And, and somebody thought, well, they were afraid that he'd be put down. No, I'm not going to let that happen to Chester. Because, again, when we would travel together, we had our dogs, so our dogs know each other. Chester knows us. And so it's not like he's walking into a totally strange place. So he's doing well, too. He really is.
How old is Chester?
He's 12. But if you saw him, you'd think he's about 16.
Oh, really?
Well, he's a plot hound.
Yeah.
And so they gray early. So he's very gray.
Oh, gotcha.
All over. Yeah. So he just looks older, really, than he is. Where my dog's a Dobie mix, and so she barely has any gray. I mean, you can hardly. You have to look for the gray on her. So it's just they're just totally different. So it's kind of fun. And walking them's different, too. He walks like a hound, not very, just kind of lollygags up the sidewalk, and my dog wants to go at breakneck speed. So, yeah, it's some adjustment, but that's okay. He's doing well.
That's good.
Yeah.
So now, I guess my question is, where do you go from here? Are you going to continue, like you and Joyce used to do? Are you going to like go to the Bigfoot conferences, or do you kind of feel, like?
I don't know. What's interesting is I had a friend who's a teacher. I just found out she's in the hospital, but who had done some research with her students. Let's see if Bigfoot's real or not. And she said in that research they absolutely came to the conclusion, yes, Bigfoot exists. Well, my daughter right now, she's in school as well. She's decided that's going to be her research project too, and on Bigfoot as well. And I said, well, our friend, she did that, and she realized, Bigfoot's real. So, because my husband and I always wanted to, if we were to retire, we'd like to live in Pagosa Springs, where there are sightings. I mean, there's lots of bears too, and cougars, but we may, we enjoy the mountains anyway, and it's just interesting. In fact, to tell you, we went up to, there had been a Bigfoot sighting outside of Buena Vista here in Colorado, near Independence Pass, and we actually went up there for a weekend just to kind of look around. And I always think Bigfoot's one of those things, you just see him, all of a sudden there he is. And so we started going up the pass very early in the morning because, again, it seems there are certain times of the day that there are more sightings. Unfortunately, we didn't. And then I got out of the car and I was ready to walk down to a riverbed, and it's still, the sun hasn't come up yet. And I'm going, oh, this is really smart because this is when bears are out too. So, no, we're not going to do that. But I like looking at areas where there have been sightings, and there have been a lot here in Colorado. I think, actually, I can tell you a story. I had a neighbor was telling me about, he has a cabin way up near 11 Mile Reservoir, and he was saying he had been hearing this really strange noise. And I went, oh, really? And I told Joyce about it, and she goes, well, ask him, like, did he have any smells, or what did it, more what it sounded like. So the next time I saw him, I said, I was, he goes, oh, I found out what that noise was. It turns out it was an old coyote, because he went looking to see what it was. But I told him, I said, oh, I thought maybe it may have been Bigfoot. And he goes, no, but I have a friend who saw him up near one of the mines. And he was delivering late at night, and all of a sudden he came out of a building, I guess, and there was Bigfoot just standing there. And the guy said, I will never go up there at night again. So I don't remember the mine. I'm assuming it's the one up near Leadville, because it's pretty high up. It's near the 14ers. But yeah, there are just sightings. Nobody tells. Nobody reports. It's just like, it happened, and I'm never going there again at that time of the day. You know, and so I firmly, and there's a lot of wilderness, a lot of where people may go backpacking and stuff. A lot of wilderness here in Colorado, a lot of steep mountains, a lot of steep caverns, a lot of caves, because I think that's what my belief is, that Bigfoot actually lives in caves, because the temperature doesn't change a whole lot. So it's not really warm, and they never get warm, but they're not really cold. The temperature is pretty consistent. And some caves create their own water, and they'll actually have a water source. So, I think there are a lot of areas here, especially here in Colorado, that it's good Bigfoot country. I really think so. I was hoping Joyce would, come and stay with us longer, and we could do more exploring closer to Denver, because there's just so much wilderness just practically outside my front door. Not a far drive, an hour at the most, and we're up in total wilderness. No cars, no people, and and I thought, this is a good place to go. So I think and my husband and I love hiking. It doesn't cost any money, and it's great to be outdoors. My dog loves it, so I think we'll definitely do a lot more hiking and a lot more exploring.
Now that area of Colorado you're in, Barbara, were you affected by that recent flooding?
No, I wasn't. I'm south of that, and the flooding was actually north, more north of Denver, and I'm south of Denver. So it was in the Boulder, Longmont, Loveland area, Big Thompson Canyon, coming out. It rained up in Estes Park. Like, we saw pictures, videos of Estes Park just being totally flooded.
Okay.
And, it just broke my heart because we like going up there, and we could say, look, that's where the walkway is. You couldn't even see it. The river was just covering it. And so, no, I was not affected, thankfully.
Yeah. I've talked to a fellow that was up that way, and his whole, his house basically got ruined. He knew of a neighbor's house that actually got picked up and washed away. I mean, it was, hear him tell the story. He lost all of his family albums and everything that had been handed down, from the family. It's just devastating.
Yeah.
So,
I think at those times you're just thankful you got out with your life.
Yeah.
It hurts to lose your pictures, but you're thankful that you got out and that your family's okay and those kind of things, because it was just came and it was tough. And I mean, a lot of roads were severely damaged. I think we lost about 50 bridges in Colorado from the flood. Yeah.
Well, it looks like we've got another caller holding. Let's see who we got here.
Oh, great.
From area code 614. You're on the air.
Hi there, Willie and Bruce. It's
Hey.
Tuba.
Hey, Tuba.
Hello, Barbara. I don't know if you remember me or not. I remember when you was with Joyce when Bob Giblin was there. You had a brace, I think, on your left foot, and I had a cane on.
Yes, you're right.
I have a picture of you. Hi.
Yeah, I was hop along, kind of.
Yeah, we were.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, that was. I thoroughly enjoyed that trip, that day. I mean, that week. It's probably one of my favorite memories of traveling with Joyce, because it was just the two of us in the Jeep. It was really fun. Had a good time.
Yeah, her and
everybody was so nice.
Joyce and I was out at times in her yellow Jeep that she had.
Yeah.
In different places.
We've already.
Yeah, I know. Even this last summer, she was saying how she missed that Jeep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't got to see her for several years now. We already missed her.
Oh. Yeah. I know she, I think the conference in Ohio was in April this last year, and so she didn't want to drive because going across the Rockies in April is real iffy, and this year it would have been miserable because we had a lot of snow in the month of April, and it was almost on the weekend. It'd melt, it'd go away, and all of a sudden we'd have another snowstorm. I think we had them like 3 weeks in a row. We had new snowstorms. So I told her, I said, you're lucky you didn't come this year because you would have been in the midst of it. So,
yeah.
But I know she loved that. I'm sorry.
Did Joyce, did she ever travel abroad that much?
No. She never traveled abroad. She never went to Mexico. In fact, Bruce, the only place she went was Canada.
I do know that.
I mean, that's as abroad as she got.
I remember. I remember the story she told me. So, she, this was her first time outside the country, and
it was her first time getting a passport.
Getting a passport.
Just her getting the passport. She was going to Fast Passport or something. I'm going, is it a legitimate passport, Joyce? And she's paying hundreds of dollars for it. I'm going, is it real? And she goes, yes, it's real. I said, how do you know? You don't go to Quick Passport and get a passport. It's... And then she dropped it in some water.
Yeah, she. So she was telling me about how she'd gotten her passport through this. It was a third-party organization. So I said to her, Joyce, you don't need a third-party organization. You can go directly to the State Department and get it yourself. And if you need to expedite it or whatever, I mean, you can just go there yourself. And she did pay like some exorbitant amount of money to have a third-party organization.
I know.
Help her through the process. But the funny thing is that she not only does she pay all this money to get this passport, which she could have gotten for a far cheaper amount just by going to the State Department herself, but she drops it in some water, and now she wants to dry it off. So to dry it off, she puts it on her stove. She has like one of those electric stoves. So she puts it on her stove, and of course, that's really not the proper way to dry anything. And when the stove heated up, the passport crinkled up like a potato chip. And now, she had paid a lot of money to get this passport, which was totally worthless because, I mean, it was destroyed. And she was, on the verge of leaving the country to go to, I think it was the John Green, the Sasquatch Summit event up in Harrison Hot Springs.
Yeah.
So then she had to call the same third-party organization again to get her another passport, and I was just rolling because even though she did suffer some misfortune, it was just it was just so funny.
It was very comical. I know, it was extremely comical. Like, really, Joyce? What are you doing? And then there are a couple. So she gets to the border, right? She gets to the Canadian border, and of course, anyone who's ever crossed the border into Canada, border officials, their job is to make you uncomfortable, because then you'll be nervous and then you'll slip up, and if you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing, you'll let the cat out of the bag. So that's their job. They're not there to be nice guys. They're really, So Joyce gets to the border, and they're asking her questions like, where are you going? She's hesitant because does she drop a name? Does she say she's going to a Bigfoot conference? And so they're asking her like, all right, Bigfoot conference, who's putting it on? And she didn't know. She didn't know she was supposed to throw anyone under the bus by giving up a name. And she was just all nervous. So they said, all right, pull over here, and they're going to search her car. Well, she is just so, this is her first time crossing the border. She's just so nervous. She asked to go to the bathroom. So I said to her, Joyce, when you ask to go to the bathroom after you get pulled over for a vehicle search, they're going to suspect that you're trying to, get rid of some contraband. She goes, I know, but I was so nervous that, I had to pee. So she comes to they let her go to the ladies' room. She comes out, and of course, again, the Canadian, the border officials, they just basically pull everything out of your car, and they search every nook and cranny of your vehicle. And poor Joyce is, just beside herself because she thinks she's going to get, locked away, and, she's acting all nervous. And, she's totally innocent, right? And, but, all these events, put together make her look like she's guilty of something, So it was pretty funny. Yeah, it was. She's yes. You start asking her questions, and she just, it's like her mind goes blank almost, and couldn't answer anything when they were asking her. Just, oh dear.
But it we were laughing about it, at the conference. Yeah. But it was. I'm sure she was beside herself. Knowing how nervous she was just crossing that border.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Well, and then having to ask to go use the restroom, and she's like, if I stand here, I'm going to wet my pants, and I need to go. And I know, my poor sister. It's like, oh dear.
Did she? I think that was the only time she used that passport, right, Barbara?
I think yes, it was. It was the only time she used her passport because she never went out of the country. I mean, she may have driven all the way to Ohio, but that was the only time she ever went to Canada. And believe me, I don't think she would have ever gone to Canada again after that experience. It's like, no, I think that once is enough, thank you. But she could laugh at herself.
Did they make her put her car back together?
Of course. So they don't. So when they rip your car apart, Terry, they don't help you put it back together. They say, all right, you're good to go, and you yourself, you have to now put your car back together. So,
yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know if they did that to a lady too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And you know how fast she was, Bruce. So
yeah.
Okay, she's there for another hour, just trying to put her stuff back in the car.
She didn't seem like a light packer either, Barbara. She seemed like she was pretty much prepared for any occasion when she went on her trip.
Well, any type of weather, I will say that. So she always had her jeans, sweatshirts, a jacket. Although I think when we went to Ohio, she didn't have a rain jacket. And when she came here to pick me up, it happened to be raining, so I grabbed 2 of my rain jackets for us to use up there. And I think that may have been when, because she has a salt fork jacket. And so I snatched that. So I went, oh, salt fork, I was there and I want her jacket. I think that's when she bought the salt fork jacket because she didn't have a rain jacket of her own. Because she would just usually have a sweatshirt on or, long sleeve shirt with a sweatshirt, that kind of thing. And so, but yeah, so she would always have at least 2 satchels of clothes plus her dirty clothes. She'd have a bag of dirty clothes. And how she always had a bag of dirty clothes, I'm not sure. But, yeah, she had plenty. It's in that little Jeep. So it was really fun to travel with her and have a dog in there, too. It's like, oh, okay. There's no room. But she was a lot of fun. A lot of fun, and just did a lot of research. Something I didn't know, but Daniel Perez had said something that she's in 2 different books that got published in the 1970s. Her name is mentioned in her research, and it's like that's really unusual because it's documented that she was doing research way back then, and someone had shared that I guess it was the Argosy magazine, which I didn't remember which magazine it was. I just remember when I was in high school that here's this magazine with Bigfoot on the front of it. And she was saying, I'm going to go look for it. I went, you're kidding. No, we're going to go look for Bigfoot. And, I mean, if she had time off, she was off with friends, looking, find them. And she was with somebody, I don't remember the year, where they had found a print, Bigfoot print. And so she's going to, person going, well, where is it? I don't even see it. They go, right there, see it? And it was, obviously huge. And Joyce looked at it and went, I'm looking for something that leaves that big a footprint. I get myself into. So, she was just a lot of fun, and just telling the different stories that she had researched, and talking about the different Indian legends. She said, they and the different names that the different Indians had for the Native Americans had for Bigfoot. It just was fascinating. She knew so much and had read so much. It was just I enjoyed listening to her and hearing, the things that she had read recently and researched through and looked up. It was very, very interesting. She would delve into historical things. It wasn't the here and now, but more historical, different Indian legends. She would read miners' diaries or, things that were in, old newspapers. I'm saying over 100 years old, where they would have stories about the hairy wild man or something. And she really, it's in that area. What else is in that area? What other stories are in that area that came out of that area that would substantiate that Bigfoot was really in that area? It's very interesting.
Well, that's another thing that I remember about Joyce is that she was always well read. That's one thing that impressed me about her was that she always knew these little sort of esoteric things that she had read, and she'd say, "Oh yeah," and it was always like she was kind of like a master of trivia. Oh yeah, I read about this, and I'm like, how did you come to read that article in Miners, the Miners magazine or whatever? It was just kind of I was always impressed with that.
Yeah, I was too. I would because she was very well read and she enjoyed reading, and it wasn't people joke about she didn't have a TV and not a radio, but she read a lot. It was like the written word was where it was at. I mean, it was more real to her than something we see on TV today.
Yeah.
Because somebody had written it, had taken the time to write it, had taken the time, maybe they had researched it. And if she saw something in there that she was really interested in, she'd say, well, what else can I read about that to, find out more? And so she just really enjoyed reading. And sometimes I think, maybe we grew up, when we were younger, I guess she was obviously older, she's 7 years older, but without a TV. So I can remember being a little girl not having a TV. And my dad would say, well, I'm just waiting until the TV gets better. When the TV, when TV's more improved, then we'll get a TV. And I don't remember if I was 5 or 6 years old and we finally got a TV. But so that we grew up reading. My father read to all of us as children, and so we just developed that interest that's part of life. You read books. And so now I have a Kindle and I read books on my Kindle. But I think that's where it started, as children. That our father read to us. I can remember my father. I think he finally quit reading to us when he started the book, The Tale of Two Cities. And we got to where he was reading that. It's like, you know what? Maybe girls are old enough. You don't need to have me read to you anymore. I'm really listening to you. And so it was really, I think our father just instilled in us the reading books. And so Joyce, that was really something she did a lot of, was reading books and different articles and just really delving into the information there instead of grabbing snippets that we might see on TV and stuff.
Yeah.
She really wanted to get the meat of it. Just very smart.
She definitely, you could tell that she had read a lot of books. She had a lot of knowledge and a lot of that, especially Native American stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, we're not going to admit, and by the way, Tom Yamarone told me to give you his regards. He's logging out. So he said that in the chat room. I think folks are having trouble listening to the show. It keeps cutting in and out, so we've got some people that just called in to listen. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Tom Yamarone, if I can say, he was absolutely wonderful. He helped. No, he did. I helped him. Oh, yeah, that's a good decision, Tom. Let's do that. But he so helped and put together the memorial that we had for Joyce. We had it in a park just south of San Francisco under the redwood trees, because when Tom first asked me, he goes, what are you doing for a memorial? I went, I don't know, Tom. I have to think about that, too. And he goes, oh, well, let me do something. Let me look around, see what I can find for you. What do you want to do? I thought, well, yeah. Pardon me?
Go ahead. I think it was some feedback.
Oh, okay. So he and another California Bigfooter, Jerry, helped put together that whole memorial. They found the park to go to. Tom did all the calling, finding out, about where can we go, what was the picnic area, what was the best picnic area. They found the picnic area. He ordered the sandwiches. All I had to do was pick them up. We asked people to wear Bigfoot T-shirts and to bring something to share with everybody else. Tom put together a big board with pictures of Joyce, which were absolutely wonderful. He sang songs. I mean, he just was wonderful, just absolutely wonderful. I mean, he put the whole thing together, and I just said, yeah, I like that idea, Tom. Let's do that.
Barbara, was that Jerry Hine that you mentioned?
Oh, it may be. I just, ask Tom. I don't know people's last names. I'm lucky I know their first names. He's got a great truck. I love his truck. Yes, and great truck.
Did he have long hair and, the tattoos on his arms?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay, yeah. That's Jerry Hine, and he's a really great guy.
He is. Oh, and he was wonderful. He made these buttons with Joyce's face on them and different pictures of Joyce, and had these buttons, and then he gave me a button that said Bigfoot doesn't believe in you either. Love it. But yeah. Because I have different cartoons and things that I've gotten, either my brother sent me or I found someone else gave me a Bigfoot at work on my cube, so I put that button there too, right next to one of my buttons. Right next to one of my pictures. I have one that's showing Bigfoot on a computer saying, look, find out who's searching for you. And
yeah,
so,
Jerry,
it's
Jerry's a great guy. He's if you ever get a chance to meet him, when you see him, he always wears like a cut off shirt. He's got tattoos all up his arms. He's got long hair.
Yep.
And he kind of, when you first look at him, he kind of looks rough. But then when you talk to him, he's like the nicest guy. He would give you the cut-off shirt off of his back.
Yes, he is. Because it's easy to take off too.
Yeah, that's right. Poor Jerry.
Yeah.
Jerry, he had a tough time getting across the border, the Canadian border, as well. I mean, they did the same thing to him. And I think he had some bear spray in his car, which made it even worse because they're not allowed to bring that across the border.
Right.
But they turned his truck inside out, the poor guy, and he was just by the time he got to Harrison Hot Springs, he was just kind of glad to be there.
Oh, really?
Oh,
so he is really a sweetheart. He is. I agree with you completely. And he and Tom pretty much handled the whole memorial. Brought chairs, picked the picnic area because Jerry knew that park. It was at Huddard Park, so he knew that park. So he knew a good place for us to go. Great, with plenty of parking for people, and it was wonderful. I mean, the two of them, Tom and Jerry, I get a phone call every day from Tom about saying, okay, well, what about this? Jerry found this, so how's that sound to you? It sounds good to me. Let's go with that. That sounds good. Let's do that, and so, they were both of them were just absolutely wonderful. Because, something like that, it's just so hard to think of everything that needs to be done, and with family, just the whole family business too. It was so nice to have really two steady people just taking care of something for me that really needed to be taken care of, but I just couldn't think of what to do and how to do it. And they were just wonderful at doing that. So I so appreciated both of them. And I know when I had gone out last year, I guess, a year and a half ago, to see Joyce in San Francisco for a long weekend, and that's when I met Tom and Jerry. And it was just, we made casts, you know, they were showing us how to make casts, you know, people. And we just had a good time, just a wonderful time. And it was so cool, you know, I just really enjoyed them, you know, and everybody that was there. So it's just, you know, my sister introduced me to a lot of neat people, too. You know, everybody in Ohio, I just remember, you know, that was a great trip for us, and the people in San Francisco was just, you know, everybody. You know, it made me feel good to know how many neat people she was around, and all the neat people that knew her. It really made me feel good. You know, that, oh, wow. You know, all these people are so nice to her. My mean big sister.
I don't think it's I don't know how well known it is, but you know, Joyce was responsible for bringing Bob Gimlin out to Ohio, and you know, at her own, you know, personal expense. And you know, if it weren't for that, there are many people out there who met Bob who would never have had the opportunity if it weren't for Joyce's generosity.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's nothing she bragged about. She would just do something. She thought, well, hey, I can do this, and then more people can meet Bob, and won't that be great? And she never said, oh, and look what I did. She wouldn't do that. You know, she just did it. And just a wonderful person. You know, her generosity was just overflowing, I think. You know, and it was neat at the memorial. People talked about her, you know, the things that she did for them. That someone stood up and talked about how she had paid their rent for a couple months. Her husband all of a sudden was out of work. They didn't know how they were going to make their rent, and Joyce paid for it. And it's like, that's the kind of person she was. You know, you need something, I have it, I'll give it to you. And that's just how she was. She's just a super person. And she was, my brother told a story when he got, you know, stuck, I think it was in Mexico, or just got kicked out of Mexico or something. He had no money and no way to get home, and called our sister Joyce, and she wired money so he could go to Western Union and get money so he could get home again. Yeah. And that's just how she was, you know. You need something, let me take care of it. And just a beautiful person. And I'm going to miss her. I know a lot of other people are really going to miss her, that, you know, saw her all the time, or their Bigfoot meetings, you know, just her sharing her, and, you know, what she knew, her knowledge, and being able to share that with people, too. Just,
It's going to be hard going to a Bigfoot conference, because she's just one of the faces that you always remember seeing there.
Yeah.
In the audience and out among everybody. So it's just going to be different, you know, going to a conference and not seeing her.
Yeah. I know. As I kind of said to my husband, so do we go to Pagosa Springs, even though Joyce won't be there? And he goes, well, I don't want to talk about that right now. Let's not think about that right now. Okay, we won't.
Yeah.
You know. So
she's definitely going to be missed by a lot of people, that's for sure.
I know.
Yeah, Joyce was, you know, I don't say this about too many people, but Joyce was, you know, I consider her, you know, she was one of the pillars of the community, and she showed by her actions, you know, sort of really the way researchers should be, which is, you know, kind toward others, even though, you know, they didn't agree with her, generous with her time, and she just really was a good person. I know it sounds, when you say it, it sounds kind of trite, but I can't express enough just how much I'm going to miss her, and how much I just appreciated her as a person and her generosity, because there's just, Billy, as you know, there's just a lot of people out there who are in it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
So, you know, they're out there to make a name for themselves, or hey, look at me, I'm with this famous person, whatever. But Joyce wasn't like that. She was
No, she wasn't at all.
She was very selfless, and I thought about it over the weekend. I thought about it last night, and really am going to miss her a lot.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you there. Let's see who this other caller is we've got from 650 area code.
Hello, Bill, Bruce, everybody. This is Jerry Hine.
Hey,
Jerry.
Hi,
Hey,
Barbara.
Jerry.
Hi. I heard my name being mentioned over the internet. I had a heck of a time trying to get through to call the number and then get on the show itself. Blog Talk does not like me. Every time I get on, it stops me real quick. But
well, Jerry, Blog Talk doesn't like many people, so don't take it personally.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry.
Yep.
We were talking. I was just talking about you on the air. Now, you had a tough time getting across the border. Did they give you like a body cavity search or something like that?
No, not that far, but almost. They gave my truck. They took the air filter out of the truck. They checked everything, and they found a couple little cans of mace in there. Just 1 ounce bottles of mace. And the guy told me, he goes, well, if it was bear spray, you could bring 10 gallons of bear spray in there. But this mace, it's a sealed weapon because it's real small. You could walk up to somebody and squirt them in the face. But whatever. But I've been in Canada since then, and no problems. It was just, now I know not to bring any mace or guns or anything in there.
Yeah, Jerry. Those are good things to keep at home when you're going across the border.
Yeah. No, the thing is, I had it in there for like 4 years, and it was in the glove department. Never paid attention. It's just a couple little cans, little canisters, like 1 ounce. Looked like deodorant. I didn't even pay attention to it, but until the border guard caught me and didn't like that. And I guess almost running one over didn't help either. Well.
Jerry, do you have any Joyce stories that you'd like to share with us?
A number of them, but it's just I still can't believe it. It's when Tom called me, 3 weeks ago, and I guess it's been, and told me, what happened. The thing is, I just talked to Joyce a couple days before then, and she seemed in a good mood. And I saw her a week before then at our Bigfoot meeting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this Sunday is going to be kind of an interesting meeting. I made a bunch more buttons up of Joyce for the meeting for people that couldn't make it to memorial service. I'm going to miss her a lot.
Jerry, what is it with you and your buttons? I'll never forget the first time I was out there on the West Coast. This guy comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, here's a button." It was like it had Bigfoot on it, and I'm like, who is this guy giving me a button? What do you want? I thought you wanted like $10 for it or something. You're like, no, so you can just have it. And I couldn't get it. I was like, what does he want? He just gave me a button for nothing. And that was Jerry Hine. He's just Jerry, you're another one of those people who are, very selfless, very generous. You care about other people, and it's one of the things that I'll never forget is just you and Joyce, just how well you treated people. Like, going out to the West Coast, I was always like, oh, what are these West Coast people like, But you guys really went out of your way to make people feel comfortable, and, you're just really nice to everyone. So I'll never forget that. You guys were some of the first people I met when I went out there.
it's karma. I mean, if you're nice to people, people are nice to you. I mean, that's that's just the way I think. So
that's the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Jerry and Joyce were the epitome of that. They were just wonderful. And Jerry, if I didn't say thank you enough to you, thank you for everything that you did, for the memorial and everything. I just so appreciate what you and Tom did, because I couldn't have done it, and I don't think anybody in my family could have. So and it was so Joyce. I mean, everybody said it was so perfect. It was very casual, in the trees. We even had Chester there. And by the way, he's doing fine, Jerry, just to let you know.
I was just going to ask.
He's doing fine. My husband even gave him a bath last night. So, he's doing fine. But I just so appreciate everything that you and Tom did for our family. It meant so much to us that you guys took care of everything. And, we didn't have to worry about it other than show up. And so I just want to say thank you. So appreciate
you're welcome. Yes. Wish it could have been different circumstances. I mean,
I know.
And just a Bigfoot meeting instead of memorial.
Exactly. But it was wonderful. So.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, Billy.
Yeah.
Billy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have any more callers?
Nope, just people that's hanging on the line listening because they're having trouble listening on Blog Talk, kind of like Jerry was.
Yeah, it's like, but look, you guys have a great evening. I'm gonna go back to Blog Talk. And
all right,
Jerry. Thanks for calling in, Jerry.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Good night.
Talk to you guys later. Night now.
All right. Well, Bruce, I'm glad we did this. I'm glad that we were able to, talk about Joyce tonight. And, we're going to continue to talk about Joyce. It doesn't matter if we're doing a show or, we're going to always have some kind of memory of Joyce when we're at a conference. I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So she definitely will be
forgotten. Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Barb,
for
calling in.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
not a problem.
Barbara, we a lot of us, we didn't know about the memorial service you had and couldn't make it out there. So we just felt like we needed, to be able to express how we felt about Joyce on the East Coast. So this is kind of our, the way that we could do it here. And so we appreciate you coming on the show and really spending some time with us because it was helpful. I mean,
no, I appreciate you doing this because Joyce would be so embarrassed. You know that, Bruce. I mean, you shouldn't, but at the same time, she was such a good person, and I really, obviously, very much a part of the Bigfoot community that, everything that, I just really thank you for doing this for her and just remembering her, and the memories that you have of her, things that I wasn't there and, so I can hear about things that Joyce did. I really appreciate that, too. I do.
Well, it was definitely our honor to do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
I appreciate it.
I think we're out of time, Billy.
Okay.
Yep. But Barb, I can't thank you enough for coming on and really helping us with the show.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you. I really appreciate it too. You guys have a good evening.
Yeah, you too, Barb.
Left of it, I guess, on the East Coast. Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Barb.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye.
Bye-bye, Barbara.
All righty, Bruce. Looks like we've wrapped up another one. It was kind of hard to end this show tonight because we were having some fond memories.
Yeah.
Kind of makes it hard.
It's really hard. But like you said, we'll keep talking about Joyce, and she'll be alive in our hearts and memories for sure.
Yep, that is for sure. So did you wanna tell everybody what's coming up next week?
So next week, Billy, I've forgotten what's coming up next week.
You know what? I got to sit here and think about it myself. That's pretty sad, isn't it? That's really sad.
Well, for once, we actually have like the next 3 or 4 weeks lined up in advance.
Right.
So, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Billy, but I believe our guest next week will be Lyle Blackburn.
I think you're correct. Lyle Blackburn, I believe, is our guest for next week, so that should be a very exciting show. And,
of course, Lyle, is a cryptozoologist out of Texas, I believe out of Texas. He's done some research on the Falk Monster, written a book about the Falk Monster, so he'll be on the show and talking about his book, which just came out, I think last year. I met him at Point Pleasant during the Mothman Festival.
Yep.
Really nice guy. So that'll be a great show. So hope to see everyone online next week. And
yep.
Thanks again for everyone who called in. And it's kind of bittersweet, Billy, because
yep.
I just think about all the great times we had with Joyce.
I know. But you know what? That's what it's all about. So just like everyone has spoke about tonight, Joyce knew what it was all about. And what it was all about was enjoying other people, enjoying friends, having a good time. It's not always serious. It's not always all about Bigfoot. It's about making friends and friends for life, and you just can't ask for no better than that.
Yeah. Amen.
So, anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. Thanks for everyone that called in and shared your experiences and your memories of Joyce. And until next Tuesday night at 9 p.m., everyone have a great week.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Remember to join us again next Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We appreciate every one of our listeners. Thank you so much for being here.